Hey everybody, welcome back to the Beyond the Peloton podcast. I'm Spencer Martin, host of the Beyond the Peloton newsletter. I'm here, as always, with Andrew Vontz of the Choose the Hard Way podcast and now newsletter. He'll tell you about it. We'll talk about opening weekend, Omloop, Kern. Our takeaways, is Visma terrible now? What's going on? Is everyone going to weigh 250 pounds, Andrew? We have to talk about the weight of the winner on Saturday, as well as Strade Bianche, which is probably taking place as you're listening to this, so we won't go too deep into the preview. And then Paris-Nice, Tirreno Adriatico. We're in the real meat of the season. But Andrew, do you want to plug anything before we get going?
Spencer, I heard that Ineos is currently focusing on getting Josh Tarling's max rep 225 bench press up in advance of kind of like the Premier Classic. So we'll see what happens with the bulking that's happening in the professional Peloton. As Spencer mentioned, I am writing over on Substack. Please follow me, always thehardway.substack.com, or just go to Substack, search for Choose the Hard Way, or you can go to my Instagram at HardwayPod. I've got a link tree there with everything. If you would like to support human-generated content that is too hot to tear up, then please follow along over at alwaysthehardway.substack.com. And if you want to sleep better, please check out the Better Lab in the Apple App Store. Spencer, we have got so much to talk about this week, whether it's equipment, cycling trade wars, like you name it, like it's all top of mind. I'm sure you've got a lot on your mind. There've been a lot of tubeless blowouts and finales with people riding in straight lines. Like, do we go back to latex tubes and clinchers? What's going to happen? Top of my list, why are we not seeing UAE on those fancy new Colnago bikes everywhere?
You've added yourself as not a listener of my work on the move, because I've been on the beat that these things are hunks of junk. Andrew, nobody likes them. I mean, this is a joke, okay? UAE, don't come after me, but they're terrible. They're so heavy. I mean, they rode them for the first time at the UAE tour, where the owner of the bike brand is based. They're owned by the UAE government.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, hey, we love these bikes. We're never using them again. I did notice Jonathan Narvaez was on one, I believe on Saturday at Omloop, but I think this is just, we ride it when the sponsors want us to ride it. I don't think they like it. I mean, does it look light at all to you?
I have no idea. I just figure if you're going to make a new bike, you're probably going to make it good. I mean, if you listen to the Nero show, apparently, anyone with a Venmo account can start a bike brand and make the world's most aero bike that weighs less than 900 grams now. So I don't know how the UAE with infinite resources is unable to do this. Somewhat orthogonal to that, Spencer, I sent you an Instagram clip last night of Norm Alvis, who was an absolute legend, an American great. If you've been following the sport for a long time, I feel like I saw Norm in a lot of issues of Winning magazine out at Gary Gribble's, the running store out at the Ward Parkway Mall in Kansas City, where I used to go to buy my cycling publications in the late 80s and early 90s. Norm is running a position that I think we're actually about to see start taking off at the World Tour level. We don't often see the reverse Viking, where you have people riding indoor trainers with the setup that you are soon going to see at the World Tour. There's this new theory in bike fit. Spencer, I know that like you're on the bandwagon. Somehow you've secured 167.5 cranks. I think you're going to regret not just dropping down to 150s right away, like Jonas. So, Matt Bowden is over there at SRAM now. Matt, maybe you can hook us up with some short cranks, some power meters. I'm kind of long on 175 power meter crank arms right now. I could use a hand buddy. So what Norm is running is this position where, okay, you've got the shorter cranks, you've opened up the hip angle, you're displacing less air with those little tiny Stairmaster movements that you're now doing when you're riding a bike. What's the next step? All right, so the zero stack slam stem look, so popular for so long, that's out the window. We've seen that stack heights are starting to rise at the World Tour level, but the new thing is the extremely high stack height, the extremely long stem, which we've already seen for a long time. And it makes almost like a praying mantis position with a conventional setup. It's just the long stem is now angled up. So you have, almost no saddle to bar drop, and you can just fold in half super easily. And it kind of makes sense because then your arms are up closer to your chest. I guess it's displacing, you're more aero in that position, I think is what's going on. If you've followed the sport for a long time, it's almost like the Graham Obrey hour record position, but you can achieve it on your crit bike. So Spencer, have you started to see this in the greater Front Range area? Is that like happening out around the Flatirons? Like what's going on?
You sent this to me, and I thought the first 5 seconds of the video, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, no one's going to ride this, and this can't be fast. But then he gets into hand on hood position, we'll call it, like how everybody rides. It looked like a TT position, like a modern TT. Everyone kind of rides the Prane Landis, and that's what it is like. I don't know. Maybe he's onto something here. Two, I guess, obstacles. You're never going to see that in the Front Range because the Front Range is about looking good and looking fast, and that does not look fast. Number 2, I don't know. Now I'm questioning that statement. I'm thinking about it. No, I mean, I guess there are people running like 50. The problem is the fast people. Yeah, maybe they are about going fast. Like Alexei Vermeulen was riding those big fat gravel tires before it was popular. So potentially he's into that. But the next thing is there's so much room between the bars and the wheel. Like, when you get a rental bike, maybe you don't rent bikes. I think you always fly with yours. But the number one thing I don't like about renting bikes is there's always so much stack height. When you stand up, it feels like you're going to fall over. Like, so I was just kind of wondering, like, if you're sprinting in that position, does that feel stable at all?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's more of a Taco Vanderhorn breakaway specialist, or I'm in a small break, I'm going to win from the small break type of move. That is
who was in the break on Tuesday at Siam? Taco Vanderhorn. The man is back. Yeah.
He's out there with Mathieu van der Poel. I sent you a picture. It's like made my day, right? It's incredible. Yeah, Taco's back big time. I have to, you know what? I haven't taken I sent you the photo. I was on the trainer. I need to take a closer look at it because I am very curious about his position and what he's running, because most of what he was doing had been banned.
I think he might be in this new position. But Andrew, on opening weekend, I've not spoken to you about this really. So you go back in time in our time machine, 2024, Visma tearing up Omloop, tearing up Kern. They launched Wout from like 75K out at Kern Brussels. Kern, he finishes off the 3-man sprint easy, no problem. They win Omloop with Jan Tratnik, just like it's easy. It's cheat code for them. This year, holy smokes, they look like they aged 10 years in a year. They were so bad. Like Mathieu Jorgensen was the strongest guy on the team, and Mathieu Jorgensen was the domestique for the team. So Mathieu Jorgensen was doing his own work to set up his own attacks. Wout's back in the group. Sometimes he's attacking. When he attacks, he's doing the old chasse patate, and he can't get between groups. It's like, what is going on here? I never thought I would see this. They get Olaf Koy does get second on Sunday, so they get a decent result. But I'm going to forget this stat because I'm doing it. I'm freestyling. But UAE and Visma, you'd say the 2 best teams in the sport, combined over the weekend, they had 1 top 10. That was Olaf Koy. I think UAE's best result was 39th in both races, so not great. They did win a one-day race in France with Juan Ayuso, who we will talk about later in the show. But what's going on here, Andrew? Like, is this all going to be forgotten by the time Flanders comes around, or is this a case of, your favorite team, you love your team, this is awesome, and then, oh no, these guys got old real fast, and then they're just not as good anymore?
Yeah, is Visma the new Team Sky? I don't think
that's what I was thinking about last night. It's like, it's happening.
Spencer, it's a little early for that. I mean, I know that you're off the Wout train, and you're.
Well, we'll talk about Wout's separate from that. I have a separate Wout theory. I don't think he's washed.
Yeah, I don't think he's washed either. I know that I think we can air some of this publicly, what we've been discussing privately related to Wout. I mean, the main thing I think about with Wout is just the number of very serious injuries the man has had, the level of medical care and recovery, and then, of course, his awareness of his mortality, which I know has been discussed in many places, versus Mathieu van der Poel, who has that tie-in with the Lamborghini dealer in Antwerp. I am, as I mentioned to you, working on getting my own personal local Lamborghini dealer sponsorship here in Mid-Coast, Maine. I will keep you all posted on that. Follow along. Always thehardway.substack.com. I'm primarily writing about bikes. I am writing a lot about Zen and my interest in Buddhism. And I'm going to write about that quest to get that Lamborghini sponsorship, and maybe some big news coming soon about bikes.
What do you think the closest Lamborghini dealership is to you?
It's likely Boston.
Okay, we can make that.
It's
work.
Totally possible that there's some rare car dealer, not an actual dealership, but a lot of people in this area, a lot of people PJN for the summer, and they do tend to keep some kind of stunt car around that they only drive. When I'm out riding my bike, they like to drive recklessly to go to clam bakes or whatever they're doing for the 2 weeks here
that they're here at Sebago Lake.
Yeah, yeah. The 2 weeks they're here in their private jet to go to their $5 million waterfront home that's going to fall into the ocean in the next 3 years. They do tend to drive a little recklessly.
Hot seat waterfront homes, man. Holy
smokes,
wow. I'm glad I did not buy into those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. That's another podcast, but whatever your political leanings or whatever you think about global warming, go to Maui, check out some of those waterfronts.
Hey,
holy smokes.
Come to Mid-Coast Maine. We had it last year. I think we had a tidal surge that was 20 feet. It destroyed a lot of waterfront homes, and not sure how long those are going to be here in the future. I do know that they're close to bringing the woolly mammoth back. I'm sure you saw the woolly mouse. Did you see that yesterday?
I didn't see the woolly mouse, but I like that more than the mammoth.
Well, it's the same consortium that's genetically engineering the woolly mammoth. They have built a mouse that has the same coat as the woolly mammoth. This is just like the next step. This is like the carbon monoxide rebreather before they go full EPO and bring out the woolly mammoth. They say they're going to be dropping it by 2028. Can you imagine what a flex that would be? Like, watch Alpe d'Huez. They'll have woolly mammoth corner coming soon. Speaking of dropping,
we're so idiotic. We don't want to talk about it, but we have bison, and it's already like difficult to have them. It's like, yeah, we need a woolly mammoth.
Well, we're jumping around here a little bit, but speaking of speaking of jumping around and dropping things, Spencer, are we seeing an unusual number of drop chains, or is this just like the new norm that your chain just has to fall off at the exact moment that you need it the most? I'm talking to you, Arnaud Delis. I mean, what's going on?
Arnaud Delis spent the whole season standing by the side of the road,
waiting for a bike. Yeah,
he's going on with that. Yeah, the drop. I was going to mention this to you because the big thing at the classics was SRAMs. They're all running 1x. It's the 1x13, which seems cool. You and I are 2x guys. I don't know. I
mean, for now, Matt Bowden, if you're listening, I'll give it a shot.
Matt, we are open for business for the 1x. I will say I got a nice bike with I don't want to say the bike brand. They're not advertising on here. I got a bike. It came with SRAM. I like the SRAM a lot. But yeah, I'm 1x curious. I'd be interested. You'd think the 1x, though, would solve the bike drop, the chain drop. Would it not? Are these just the Shimano people that are dropping their chains?
I think everybody's dropping their chain.
They seem to be dropping all over the place.
Chain drops galore. I mean, this is something. I mean, the two things that I would really like to see in bicycles that I ride, I would like the thing that enables the bicycle to move forward, the chain to stay on. I would like it to not fall off.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, I would like the tires to not explode off of the rims. Those are the core features that would make me feel good about riding a bike.
At random, and like no warning. You'd think year 150 of the bike would be closing in on this this feature request you have. I mean, we should because there's a lot of drop change. There are tires exploding off of the rims because they're hookless. I mean, we've talked about hookless on the show before, but they're just a cheaper way to manufacture rims because, hey, those hooks that hold your tire on? What if we didn't have them? Great, right? No, not great, because then the tire just blows off. I mean, I hate to even make light of it because someone died last year from this. I don't think people fully realize this. A man died at the Tour of Austria because his tubeless, I mean, you read the police report. It sounds like what witnesses described sounds like a tubeless blowout on the descent. We saw one, was that UAE tour that was just a sprint just a few weeks ago where someone was sprinting and then boom, tires blew out. Happened again this weekend. Johan Bernal thinks they should ban tubeless rims in the World Tour. I agree with him. I also ride tubeless rims, so that's a concern I have as well. But Andrew, Soren, I don't know this man's name. I'm going to butcher it. Soren Wokenschvold, who won Omloop on Saturday. Just a few facts about this man. Morning of the race, weighed in 92.5 kilos. That's like 203 pounds.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that's big. And so if anyone is out there, this is you. You're like, I got to lose weight. I'm in the 190s. No, you don't. You need to gain weight. You're too light, I think.
Right.
And I mean, there's like a fair amount of climbing in that race too. But did you know this? He showed up with he wins with leg warmers on. You're like, well, that's kind of weird. Do you know why he had leg warmers on?
He hadn't shaved his legs.
Holy smokes. This also got me thinking. So the sock height wars. If you go to the start of any race, they're measuring people's socks because people are putting these Aero socks on. We can't have this. We'll look like triathletes if we don't police this. Why not just wear Aero leg warmers?
Yeah.
Is that not? It's weird to me that there's this big taboo against leg warmers while racing. And it's like, well, the leg warmer could just be really Aero and then you're flying around. So keep an eye out for that. I would imagine a smart team would think about that.
Yeah, I'm going to go have to look at YouTube. I'm curious if anybody's put leg warmers in a wind tunnel. I have to imagine, yeah, you could do the exact same thing. Are there not BioRacer leg warmers that cost $15,000
Yeah.
yet?
Do you remember when Cipollini showed up with a full skin suit, like head to toe?
And do I ever?
Yeah, it's like technically not allowed, I guess. But yeah, that's your case law for if that's allowed or not. And then Kern Brussels Kern, Jasper Philipsen wins. I would say is it fair to say you're not the world's biggest Philipsen fan? But he doesn't win at Omloop. He gets third in that sprint, which I was confused about. I thought Paul Monnier won. I wasn't looking at the side of the road with Soren. Soren wins, we should say Uno X. That's their biggest win of the team's history by far. I was pretty happy for them. It's like a scrappy Norwegian upstart company that has endless money and they have probably the best sports science. But, they do only recruit from 2 countries. They don't have the best riders from those countries. So that's even more impressive. So it was cool to see them win. Flash forward to Sunday. Philipsen gets third on Saturday. To get podium both days is really hard. That's like super difficult because everyone, like the guy who won on Saturday was dropped with 100K to go on Sunday. Philipsen wins, led out by Caden Groves, probably the sport's third, fourth best sprinter. I don't know how they got him on board to do that. But the story of the weekend, in my mind, was Alpecin looking ridiculously strong without their best rider, Mathieu van der Poel, who proved on Tuesday to be in fine form, like in peak form already. But you don't accept the legitimacy of Philipsen's crown, correct? His crown, because you think he's cheating by just getting these awesome leadouts?
He won. The winning strategy is the correct strategy. So chapeau to Jasper Philipsen. Equally, I would be impressed and I would think of him as a higher level sprinter if we saw him do a Cavendish and freelance his way to a win from time to time, which you would know better than I do, Spencer. I can't recall him having ever done that, actually. And it seems like unless he has the absolutely perfect lead out, he doesn't win. And, I texted you about this, but, if you're Caden Groves, like looking back through this guy's Palmares, green jersey at the Vuelta 2023, 2024, stage winner Vuelta 2023, 2024.
Like 7 stages.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, he's got multiple Giro stage wins. Yeah, this guy is an absolute phenom. And then fast forward to 2025. I mean, this is kind of how it goes. I hate to see this. I'm sure he's being extremely highly compensated to do this, but I would rather see him competing against Jasper, and that's just the nature of the sport, right? They've got enough money to take this guy off the table. So,
well, do that I don't know actually, because they're not a big budget team. It's interesting. Well, we know the EU takes antitrust seriously. Are they going to have a problem? This is the lineup, by the way, for the tour: Caden Groves, Mathieu van der Poel, Jasper Philipsen. What's that sprint lead up?
Whoa!
Like
It's
Holy
gonna look
smokes.
It's gonna look pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, will the EU step in and break this up? But then I don't know. Yeah, because they do have money. They invest a lot of money into winning. Wow, what a crazy strategy. They don't chase like Mika. They're not paying Mika Landa 5 million euros a year to like get fifth in the GC. They're just like, we're not even going to worry about GC. We're going to win races. So maybe they do have some money for that and they can invest in guys like Caden Groves. But I'm telling you, the new thing in cycling, if you want to win, go to the best riders team. Like get closer to the Galactico. And then, like Navarez going to UAE, where everyone's focused on Pogačar, no one's focused on Navarez. Everyone's focused on Philipsen, no one's focused on Caden Groves. I mean, that Philipsen won a monument last year because of that, because everyone's staring at Van der Poel. Same thing, he's gotten second at Roubaix twice, I believe, because no one can focus on him because they're focused on Van der Poel. So that's the new way to win in pro cycling, is to not be the competitor of the best rider, because then they probably won't drop you.
Spencer, another really interesting Moneyball move from Alpecin is Sam Gaze. Sam Gaze, former short track world champion in mountain biking, and he is making some moves here in 2025 for Alpecin. Like, this guy is a hitter. He's 29 years old. He has, he's done a mishmash of racing on the road, a program of typically maybe 10 to 15 road races a year prior to 2023, when he maybe went up to 20 races, 2024 less actually. And then 2025, we're now seeing him as an animator here early in the season, and has the profile of a classics rider, 80 kilograms, big boy, the new, on trend for where the sport is headed. I do keep thinking about who is on the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup circuit who needs to be in the World Tour. Like, what untapped talent is over there that could be persuaded with maybe a high six-figure check to get off the dirt and get on the road? And how do we get them on board for the Beyond the Peloton World Tour team?
It's funny you said. So Strade Bianche tomorrow, great race, gravel, road. Pogačar is going to win. There's your preview. But so Sam Gaze on the start line. You said short track world champion. You know who the long track world champion is? Alan Hatherley. He's on Jayco. Like, genius idea by Jayco. Like, well, why are these moves being made by Alpecin and Jayco, two mid to low budget teams, and not the bigger teams? I don't fully get it. You would think, what would be the first thing you do as a team manager? Maybe just pull up some mountain bike results and say who's super strong. Because if you've ever mountain biked, or you've seen mountain bikers go to the road, they are so strong because they're like drafting. What's drafting? I ride all out as hard as I can all the time. Like, these guys have massive engines. It is a little funny to me that how did the world champion get picked up by one of the lowest budget teams in the sport?
Yeah, I don't know. Great move, though. Another, stroke of genius from the Roodhoofs.
The Roodhoofs, yeah. I mean, their budget's increased now, but I don't know at Jayco. I guess they have a Lula, so maybe they just have more bandwidth to add people. But yeah, I don't know. Sign mountain bike world champions. Probably not a bad idea. I think partly it's because everyone's obsessed. They have this fetish for little young people. They have a fetish for young riders, like 17 to 19 years old, let's say.
Right.
Like, they're so dead focused on these juniors that maybe like 28-year-old Alan Hatherley, I don't want him. But it's like, well, he's really good. It's the Jack Haig, the Jack Burke problem. It's like, he's too old. It's like, well, he's better than everyone on your team, but he's too old. It's like, well, he's better. What do you not understand what I'm saying? I think there is partly that, where people just can't wrap their head around. Like, Sam Gaze he's 29. So just like, why would I want a 29-year-old on my team? That guy could die of old age soon.
Yeah, because you want to win, apparently.
The Roodhoofs know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Did you watch? I'm going to make a comment, then I'm going to ask you a question. Of course, it is still winter here in Mid-Coast Maine, and is going to be probably through June. I'm spending a lot of time on Zwift preparing for this point-to-point attempt at the Katy Trail. Spencer, I know you've got a big birthday to attend, but I'm planning to get that off your dance card and get you out to provide some draft for myself and my companions who will be completing this FKT. I've lost my train of thought, Spencer. I don't even
Well,
know what I'm
I have a
talking about.
question for you. I didn't fully absorb the enormity of that ride until last night.
Yeah,
125
it's
miles.
a huge ride.
But I'm thinking like I'm like, you're rotating through 28 miles an hour like a road race. What's that going to take 5 hours? Is that going to take like 8.5, 9 hours, you think?
I mean, are you going to be there?
I'm definitely not going to be there.
All right, I'm going to talk to your wife. We really
You're
need
going to have to do
we
like
need
the
you out
Uno
there.
X trainer program. You're going to have to do like 4 or 5 hour days on the trainer.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, going back to the trainer. That's right. Thank you for getting me back on track. My mind gets lost sometimes, and then it comes back.
Record this first thing in the morning. That's what you should be doing.
Right. I did get my 10 minutes of morning sunlight prior to this recording, so I am somewhat sharp. The thing that's happening on
Humble brag
Zwift,
that your sun is up already.
yeah, yeah, your sun is not up. Well, this is good preparation for you, Spencer, for when you're going to be out on the Katy Trail on April 16th.
At like 4 in the morning.
Yeah, for what's likely to be like a 9-hour ride. That's a lot of time sitting on a saddle coming off of a trainer. I've spent a lot of time on Zwift. I'm sure you've noticed this. I'm spending a lot of time with the bots, right? Like Jacques and I are extremely tight. I can't remember what the A bot is named, but I've been riding with that bot quite a bit as well. The A bot seems way more surgy to me. I'm not like why does that A bot suddenly go up to like 5.5 watts per kilo? And it's like every time you hit a hill, it's just wants to drop you. It's kind of like actually riding with Kip.
It's actually pretty realistic, actually. You want to go on the worst group ride of your life? All right, here we go.
Yeah. Anyhow, so the bots are now being used as ad surfaces in the game. And, I've upgraded my Zwift setup. I have two 50-inch TVs now. So I've got one where I'm watching my cycling content or learning more about running a business, starting a technology company. And then the bottom one has got Zwift. But when those messages pop up, it's more often than not the bot telling me to go watch the Zwift Pro Cycling Academy or whatever, the Zwift Academy thing. And that's fine. Like you can use your in-app messaging thing as an ad surface. However, I'm paying you, Zwift. I hold the cards. You don't hold the cards.
Well, I kind of love this. I would love to advertise on Zwift. Zwift, if you're taking advertisers, reach out to be on the Peloton. But think you pay for cable TV. You pay quite a lot for cable TV. And then what do you watch on cable TV? You watch a lot of ads. So this is a long American tradition of making you pay many monies and then also making you watch many ads.
Yeah, it's insidious. I know where this is headed, and that's fine for them to tell me, hey, the Zwift Academy is live. I'm interested in watching that. Dan Lloyd and the other guy whose name I don't know, talking the Rude Hoofs, some scooters.
It's a great video. It's a great video series. I would highly recommend this.
Yeah, I highly recommend it as well. And I actually kind of would like to get into some of the learnings from that, which are related to
get into the academy.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe in 2026. The ad is fine. The ad keeps popping up like every 3 minutes. It's Jacques telling me to check the thing out. It's like, got the message. Can you pixel me? And like, do you know that I've actually watched this thing? I might even be watching it on my other screen. It's unsophisticated, brute force feeding, and I won't tolerate it.
He won't tolerate it. But you can find him on. So what are you going to go to MyWoosh?
Maybe MyWoosh, Ruby. I've got a lot of people knocking on my door who want my virtual watts, Spencer.
This computer that I think like Microsoft created, and it can compute. Maybe it was Google, but it can do like what the world's best supercomputer. It takes it longer than the length of the time the universe has been alive to process something in like a nanosecond. I think you need that computer to run MyWoosh.
Yeah, well, we have quantum computing out here. We have a lot of former 3-letter agency people who hide out in this area, so we definitely have quantum computing. You've got Cheyenne Mountain, I've got Hatchet Mountain. I can see it out the window. We're ready.
After getting more 3-letter agency people, they might all be living in the woods around your house, so on the run from their boss.
Might be.
But changing gears. Getting back on topic. So Mathieu van der Poel, what do you think of this? This guy shows up. Wow. So let's talk about Wout. Let's have the Wout conversation. Looked a little, he had that good TT. He's been up and down. Good TT at Algarve. So you're not bad almost beating Jonas Vingegaard in a TT with significant climbing. It's just impossible. looked a little erratic at times over the weekend. Some of that, maybe you're right. Maybe he doesn't want to crash, and that's why he's out of position when he should be in position. He's in position when he should be sitting in. I was a little shaken by the Shas Patat. I don't know. I feel like a really strong Van Aert, 20 seconds, guy on my wheel. What's the problem? I'm bridging across. I also don't fully understand why Roger Adria wasn't pulling with him, because even if he is a sprinter behind, wouldn't you rather have a guy in the break so you can sit in and preserve your teammates for the lead out? I don't get why he didn't work with him. Van Aert, I mean, Johan had a good point. The guy was off the bike for like 2-3 months. Apparently the leg he crashed on at the Vuelta is still not as strong as the other leg. That will not help when you're trying to like beat the world's best and fittest cyclist in the world's hardest races. So it could just be he's coming back from that. I mean, what was your read on it?
I mean, that's the point I've been making for 2 years about Wout. If you go way back to the
he's like constantly just recovering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, thank you, Johan / this isn't new, right? We had the Wout Tour de France time trial wreck. How many years ago was that at this point? Was
2019, I think. 2020, 2019.
Yeah,
that leg open. And then
he didn't just bother him. It was like he took a core sample that was 4 inches in diameter out of his quad. I think it was a pretty significant wreck. Then we had the downhill right-hand turn wreck last year. Then we had another massive wreck. Then we had the knee injury at the end of the season. I mean, most of 2024 for Wout was on injured reserve and coming back from serious injury. And his legs are how he makes a living. And if you can't use those legs, you can't train. Like, take a look at Remco. Like, we'll see how Remco does.
I was just going to say, no one's talking about that, but not. And, you can be training. Like, I think, like Johan, to talk about Johan again, he's like, loves Remco. It's his Belgian king. And he's like, oh, no, he's training. He's good. But I mean, I think Wout's proving that, like, recovering from injury, and these guys are coming back. I think Wout posted on Strava, like, 10 days after the crash. He was like, this was at Dwars in the spring, took a walk and showered for the first time. Like, that's how hurt he was, like, unable to, like, take his clothes off the shower. So when you're coming back from that, I think you're taking months just to even get to the point where you can train as hard as you were training when you got hurt. Not to mention how fit you were when you got hurt. It could take you a year to get back to that. And Tom Danielson had a really interesting tweet at the end of last year. He was basically saying we were all idiots because they would take so long off, like months off training after the season. He's like, we were spending all of our energy getting back to be as fit as we were at the end of the season before, so we never improved. Our whole training cycle was getting the fitness we conceded, getting back to fitness we conceded. So I guess that's what's happening with Wout. Whatever the reason, the outcome is he's not at his best in the spring, and Mathieu van der Poel is at his best.
2 other factors here, Spencer. Wout is 30 now. I mean, he's not. How old is Remco? Remco is like 24, 25.
I think he's 26 potentially.
So Remco's like 19. I think the handful of years make a difference. And I mean, think about Wout's racing age. How long has he been doing this? He's been doing it since he was like 3 years old. So he's got a lot of wear and tear on the body. And like, yes, that also means he has superior conditioning, and his recovery is going to slow down a little bit.
Does he have wear and tear on the body? Because he never races, because he's always out. He should be fresh.
Well, I mean, and then I think the other factor we saw this past weekend, you have to think about how much it's slowing him down to be ashamed of wearing that Aero helmet.
What was the deal with that? Why was he doing that?
They're all doing it now. Everybody's wearing Aero helmets now.
I think I'll just be slower. Who's not wearing an Aero helmet? Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah, that's true.
Your class out there looks like a freaking ad. He looks so good. I mean, whatever the logic is, like, this is the same in every sport. There's great reasons. Like, Joel Embiid has no knees, so he will underperform his expectations. He will never win a championship. He'll never go to Eastern Conference Finals. The outcome is kind of what matters. So, like, what is Wout? He's won 1 monument, 2020, Milan-San Remo. He's probably at this rate, he's never winning another monument, and that is a disaster. Like, that, he's going to be feeling the heat in Belgium. It doesn't matter what the reason is, because Van der Poel looked like he's going to come out. He's going to win 2 more monuments this spring, maybe 3.
Wow.
The guy looks unbelievable. He's also the same age So I guess would have the same wear and tear in theory.
Yeah, wow, that's really wild. My Wout theory is I think we're going to see Wout win the cyclocross world championships in 2025.
Like, is Van der Poel racing or no?
I don't know, but I think that that's where this is headed, honestly. I think that
Well,
that's yeah.
why is he doing cross? Because it's, the recovery's hard, he's out. Is the cross helping or hurting? Because could he not have been doing a more focused recovery, like altitude camp, just trying to get his road legs back instead of doing this? The cross shuffle, can you imagine? Is that good for road? Just all your travel, all the jib, you got 50 bikes you're carrying around the country of Belgium. It's cold. The
Yeah.
training's probably not as high of quality. I don't know. I don't see it as helpful.
Yeah, I don't think it's helpful either. I almost wonder, I mean, number one, there are appearance fees. So these guys are paid to start. Wout and
Usually
Mathieu van
cash
der
in
Poel.
pocket, no
Yeah.
tax man coming for that.
Yeah. So there's that factor. And then I think I don't think he would just do this out of sheer goodwill, but maybe there's some other financial incentive. Does the sport of cross continue to exist if you don't have Wout and Mathieu van der Poel show up? Like, honestly,
That's a big question.
is the sport around anymore? So it's not impossible that they're beyond their standard appearance fees, that there's some kind of financial arrangement in place to stop the sport from completely imploding on the part of the promoters. It is wild looking back now, 2020, 2021, just like, wow, like it would be sad to me if we passed peak Wout and geez. Yeah,
I know. You're looking at the Palmares. I do the same thing late at night, and I get so sad because I do worry we've passed peak Wout. I know it's early in the season, but here's a little fact no one wants to face. Modern cycling, generally, how you are earlier in the season is how you are the rest of the season. It's like people love to say, like, it's early. It's early. It's like, hey, well, times are changing, folks, because people like who's good at Tour Down Under, they're probably going to be good the rest of the year. Like, because you have to dig yourself out of such a hole. Van der Poel is already on amazing form. I mean, he was so good on Tuesday. Like on the cobbles, looked like he was going twice as fast as everybody. Doesn't usually win sprints. It was like, hey, I'll just win the sprint because all my sprinters are helping Jasper Philipsen. I guess I got to win it. And he smoked Paul Monnier, who's fast, 20-year-old fast rider. And so you're going to have to improve so much just to even get even with Van der Poel because he's starting on such a higher level. I'm concerned. I mean, the whole Visma setup, just that core is aged. And I think I said this on the show last week, but people think athletes get old and they just are bad because they're old. I think what happens is they get old, they get injured, and then it's like the disruptions from injury, whether legitimate or not, it's what makes you bad because you're just like sliding back off the treadmill because you're not able to train as hard because you're always hurt. Like Dylan Van Barle, Christophe Laporte. When's the last time we even saw those guys?
Huh.
Like, where are they?
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on over there. I mean, maybe this isn't the place to talk about it, but like the rumors about One Cycling, did you take in the Andrew Hood piece yesterday, which was
I'm going to pass on talking about that. Here's my thing. Okay, no one owes us cycling, all right? Governments paid for it. Local governments are broke all over the Western world. No government should be paying to broadcast or put on a bike race. We should be using it for people, for good things. So, yeah, if you want to watch a little crappy race on Tuesday, it costs a lot of money to put that race on and televise that. You're going to have to pay a lot of money to watch that. You're going to have to pay the market rate for that. The alternative is it's just not televised. And I do think if people don't want to pay for it, that's the future. They're just not going to be televised because why would anyone pay to televise these events?
I'm thinking more so that's fine. I agree with you. If you want to watch bike racing, you're going to have to pay for it. I'm more curious about the bigger moves happening with One Cycling, Pluga, and the Saudi money coming into the sport and potentially buying the Tour de France. I know you've talked about it in other places. I mean, is this where we're headed? Is this going to be the UFC, WWE, other sports entertainment properties?
No, because those all make money for the Saudi. Like, I've heard from people in the meetings that the Saudis are having a hard time
seeing the value,
the revenue. They don't fully understand the revenue. I think a quote I got from someone was like, "Just sitting through many, like in like parentheses, extensive meetings, I've yet to see a revenue generating like aspect of it. So I do think that could get difficult. I also heard that like MBS is the decision maker, like personally. So like they have to like bring this to him. Is he like in between sign sessions and they like bring him to one side from the pitch deck? How's that work?
Yeah, I mean the
Which
thing that
Washington Post journalist is he chopping up today?
Yeah. So, whatever thoughts you have about that piece, what I liked about it was it seemed like there was actual reporting in it. There was information. It didn't appear to just be aggregated from stuff somebody said on a random podcast somewhere, which I feel like is 95% of what comes up in my cycling news RSS feed. Not cycling news, the publication, but I have an RSS feed of all of the cycling publications in the world.
That's cool. So, the RSS feed needs to.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to consume information. And in 95% of the time, all of the quote unquote articles I'm reading are just aggregations that are somebody's having AI crawl podcast transcripts and then auto write these stories.
I think that is what's happening.
Is what I would say is happening. I see a lot of things from Spencer Martin and Johan Brunel often taken out of context.
But with this is wildly out of context.
But with
real, actually,
with this Andrew Hood piece, going back to your point about like, okay, allegedly the Saudis are going to put $300 million in the sport, as you and I have talked about before. Why do people invest money, especially large amounts of money? They want to see a massive multiple of that coming back to them in a short period of time. They're not here to save a sport or whatever the romantic version of this might be. The details that jumped out at me as potentially interesting, probably because I have some confirmation bias here, is that part of the One Cycling proposal is to shift towards circuit races, which I think this is just an inevitability. Like if we look at what's happening from a safety point of view with people who are, I don't know if they're on fentanyl in Europe, or if they're just on TikTok, just like driving onto courses. Like it's just wild how much it's happened this year. And I think it's going to happen even more. Then you've got the road furniture issue. I feel like road furniture it's right up there with talent in terms of determining like winners and losers. It's pretty, it's pretty wild.
And like the important thing about, I guess the drivers could be solved. This road furniture is not going anywhere.
No,
in fact, it's probably
going to have more
and more common. Yeah.
Yeah. At least in Europe. In the United States, I think we're going in the opposite direction.
Just like dirt roads, dusty roads.
Well, no, I mean, I think unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen with cycling infrastructure here. In Europe, you're going to see a lot more of it. That's a big factor. So this aspect of like, oh, that's interesting. They want to move in the direction of circuit races and allegedly getting people to pay to come watch these events. Would they actually do that? It works in cyclocross.
It works in Flanders too. You have to pay quite a bit, and they make quite a bit of money from that. So it's not as crazy as some people make it seem.
Right, which goes back to if you can currently control races like that, and you're making plenty of money, and you're a private organization, or with ASO and the Amory family, why would you sell? Unless it's like a massive multiple. But then the question is, if you're buying this organization for a massive multiple, what are you going to do to create like a 40x return in 10 years?
Well, so a couple things on that. My understanding of One Cycling is not new races. It's not the Velon hammer. They've learned their lesson. So they would be creating some sort of like F1 is just a brand you plug, like individual owners own those F1 races or most of them. They just like hand everything to F1. F1 puts it on, they package the TV rights, sell it. I think that's the original, or that's the starting idea with One Cycling. Would they move some of those to circuit races? That's probably happening no matter what. I do think that these point-to-point disasters we've seen have shown us that there's going to be more circuit races. The next thing is, why do you invest money? To make a big multiple on your investment is one thing. The other thing is to kind of force the world to recognize you as legitimate. And you do that by taking the things they value most and making them yours. So they have to be nice to you. So if we go to Live Golf PGA, like Live Golf's a joke, a terrible product. The Saudis dumped a ton of money into it. They paid people so much money to do their events. It started to bankrupt the PGA Tour because the PGA Tour had to then increase the amount of money they were paying golfers to do their events. The plan the whole time was to put the PGA under so much financial pressure, they then had to sell to Live, which is kind of what's happening with Live has come in and like taking a controlling interest in the PGA Tour. They control the board. This is all subject to presidential approval. How do you think that's going to go? Oh, who's Jared best friends with? Oh, the people that own Live Tour. I wonder how that's going to be decided. So that worked out for them. And then now they're going to control golf. They think golf not only is a moneymaker, but just like buys them legitimacy in the world's eyes. Like same thing with boxing. I think every major boxing event will happen in Saudi Arabia in 10 years because that's a sport they can just not kidnap, they can just buy and control it. Soccer is a little bit harder because that's happening on grounds around the world. So I think the theory with One Cycling for the Saudis is you start One Cycling, let's say you buy the Giro. The Giro is now suddenly happening in July. You make $50 million to start the Giro if you're a top rider. All the top riders start racing the Giro. The Tour starts feeling pressure because they either have to, maybe the Tour has such a strong brand, they could have David Gaudu as their best rider winning the Tour de France, and no one cares about Tadej Pogacar, Jonas Vingegaard winning the Giro. You're starting to stress test the brand there. So the theory is the owner of the Tour is like an elderly woman. She will pass on eventually. The kids are going to say, do I want to be in this fight with the Saudis? I don't think so. This sucks and we're losing money now. And then they would be under so much pressure, they would sell to One Cycling, which is funded by PIF. I think that's the vision. Whether the Saudis agree with that vision is unclear to me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Time will tell, Spencer.
Well, time will tell. But I will have to run Strada Bianchi this weekend, Paris-Nice Sunday, Tirreno Adriatico Monday. So we have 3 big races. What's your prediction for Strada Bianchi tomorrow? Do you like this race? I guess is my first question.
Well, Spencer, currently I'm trying to find a start list, and Pro Cycling Stats is not delivering.
Real big name, a little Tadej Pogacar starting on Saturday. He would be my favorite probably if I had to pick one. He's something in the betting markets. He's like negative 400, which to give you, that's like something like an 85% chance of winning, which is, I've never seen odds like that for a one-day race.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've got my start list. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Pog is going to win. If it's not Pog, I'm just doing a quick scan here. Who are we going to have in Denim? I'm not seeing Mathieu van der Poel on the start list.
No, he's kind of on a funny schedule actually.
He's on the schedule of a winner, actually. Right?
He races at Tirreno. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's a good point. Whatever he's doing, it's not unusual. It's like what winners do. He's racing at Tirreno on Monday, and then San Remo is his first classic. Also, another thing on Van der Poel that I don't like, and I tend to not like him because of it, he doesn't race very often. Like we talk about how hurt Wout was. Wout still races like significantly more than Van der Poel. Like in 2024, Van der Poel raced 41 races. That's not very many. 2023, 46. Wout with the injuries raced like 55. So I don't like that he picks his spots, but he picks his spots well, which is why he's not at Strada, because it doesn't fit his idea of what the schedule is.
And is it correct? Sorry, I'm looking at the start list. All right, we've got Pidcock back. All right, so we have a couple of former winners
Mark
here
Hershey
in the mix. Yeah, Mark
now
Hershey
against Pogacar.
Yeah, I can't see Pidcock. Candidly, I can't see Pidcock beating Pog in any context ever. I can't.
I don't. I mean,
can you? Can you? Is it conceivable to you that like full string Pog ever gets beaten by Tom Pidcock?
Unless it's a Grand Tour stage and Pidcock's in the breakaway because he's like 15 minutes down in the GC, which I guess has already happened. But I mean, this race, it's a fun race. 213K. It's growing, getting up to monument distance. It's in Tuscany, finishes in Siena and like the famous square. A lot of gravel, a lot of hills. People love it. It's a baby. It's like 19 years old. I respect it how well it's done with how young it is. The only thing about it is it's a little paint by numbers because it's so difficult. It's so much up and down, so much descending on gravel that it advantages the best rider so much. If you're a great bike handler and you're a great climber, it's almost impossible to beat you.
Yeah, I know you've got to run, Spencer. Something that's on my mind looking at the start list for Strada Bianchi is with Uno X being I was going to say dominant. Dominant's not the right word. They've had a great start to the season. We haven't started to have this ridiculous conversation about who gets bumped from the World Tour and in the points competition. However, it is hot. And we know that Astana, Vinokurov has said that they're not going to have a sponsorship if they don't get a World Tour card after 2025. So, I mean, like,
do you think that dings like the anti-doping authority? What's the downside? There's no downside.
Yeah, but I mean, like, do you think they have a chance with the way some of the other teams on the bubble are performing? Like, is it conceivable to you that Astana makes it?
This is like you're a plant. This is crazy. This is such a good question. So I would have said that's ridiculous in January because they would have needed to. Right now, the last team in is Cofidis. They have, yeah, but Cofidis.
I mean, Cofidis will always get the wild card to every big event, right? So that's
it actually doesn't really matter to them.
Doesn't matter. Immaterial. They're French.
So Astana at the beginning of the season was 5,000 points behind Cofidis. To put that into perspective of how big a gulf that is, that means Astana would have to be as good this year as Alpecin was last year if Cofidis was as bad as Cofidis was last year. Cofidis is already better than they were last year. So they'll have to be better than Alpecin was last year, this year. And also Alpecin won the first 3 monuments. So
not bad.
It's unlikely. They are employing these, I think, quite interesting strategies. Both will just race for like 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. They've already outscored Cofidis by 1,000 points. That's impressive. They're the 2nd ranked team in UCI points this year, behind only UAE. But 4,000 more points as the schedule gets harder and as their tactics will work less and less, because you can't really roll up to Strada and say we're just going to try to get 3rd, 4th, and 5th because Tom Pidcock could be 5th. It's that you start to lose that edge a little bit. Another interesting fact: 3rd ranked team Movistar also having a great year, finally getting out of their Valverde funk a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun to talk about. I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, that 4,000 additional points delta on Cofidis, that seems a little hard to achieve. But if they score in the top 2 of 2nd division teams, they get auto invites to every race next year. So that's the real fight they're in.
Yeah, there's some kind of Jonathan Vaughters brainwashing was going on that associatively sent me down this Astana rabbit hole, because I was like, I seem to recall Bettiol having attacks at past editions of Strade Bianche that seemed viable, yet probably were not.
Yeah, I think that's real.
It's real? Okay.
It's real. I remember these too.
Yeah. I'm just having, I think maybe he wrecked last year or 2 years ago while he was in the lead. And
yes, I think so.
Is that right?
Man, Bettiol, just a word on him. So EF, we give EF a lot of crap around here for their faux money ball strategy. This was pretty smart. So Bettiol was on their books, getting paid a lot of money. Like, you'd say half a year of pay for him, over €500,000. So August rolls around, Astana's desperate for stars, for anyone that can score points. They just give him to Astana in August. Well, that means they save on nearly 6 months of salary when he's not even really racing, because you don't race that much after August. So they saved a lot of money there. And then he's gone on to do absolutely nothing for Astana since he signed for them. I mean, that's kind of the interesting thing about this Astana, like Astana-sance, because the riders that are doing it are, it's like Christian Scaroni. The guy's like a 27-year-old who's had little success before. This is also, I don't want to shout, I don't know. He's looked good, but as you said earlier, when someone says we will do anything to win, our survival depends on it, I get a little concerned about the incentives there, if you know what I mean. But guys like Scaroni have been coming out of the woodwork looking fantastic. That's who's scoring these points, not Alberto Bettiol, who's making a lot of money probably.
If you had to pick someone from Polti Visit Malta as a contender at Strade Bianche.
Strada? Oh boy. Let me pull up my start list. Oh boy.
Is it Javier Safrano or Mathieu Weiss?
We give them a bit of crap, but I think they won. Davide Weiss won a Grand Tour stage recently. I think
it's not bad.
Not bad at all. Is Davide Weiss? I mean, he's the one. He's the one I would do. The problem is they do all this from breakaways. So they're probably not doing that from a breakaway. Oh my, I can hear the kids. They're up. They're active. Yeah, stage 7 of the 2023 Giro d'Italia. Davide Weiss won that. Yeah, he would be the one. I don't think he's starting at Strada. I mean, in all seriousness, the only riders I see challenging Pogačar would be like Lennart Van Aert, massive engine and in really good shape right now. It's hard for even me to even say other like Tom Squeens, but I rewatched last year's and Squeens was like minutes behind. Like, how is anyone going to solve that problem? How do you overcome those minutes? If he doesn't crash, it's difficult to see anyone beating him. Here's an interesting.
I'm so excited while we're on Little Trek rather. Quinn Simmons, he's back.
It's back. So Quinn Simmons raced over the weekend at the Flesh races.
First races of the year.
Or the phone races. Yeah. Looked great, by the way. Also, Juan Ayuso attacked 40K out on Sunday. Stuck it. The rider who tried to respond to him, Quinn Simmons, who always does it. I rewatched Strada last year. You know who kind of launched that Pogačar attack? Quinn Simmons. Because he attacked first. Pogačar went after him. And he's good. And then he crashed. He kind of like crashed and then Squeens crashed over him. Squeens got up and chased back on, ended up getting second impressively. And Simmons then was hurt, I guess, and almost didn't race for the rest of the year. He is quite good at this race. Will he win? No. Right. Podium? Maybe. Is it a little funny to you? Quinn Simmons, 73 kilos, doesn't race the classics. He's like a hilly classics guy. Doesn't race the cobbled classics.
I feel like Quinn Simmons is 35, but he's 23 years old.
23 years old. Isn't that crazy? He's been pro for like 4 or 5 years.
I think he's going to be swinging big this year, particularly with an eye towards Skimo at the Olympics coming up.
Yeah, the rare Skimo, he could win the World Championships, Skimo gold medal, and then the LA road race gold medal in the Summer Olympics. Just one thing I want to call out: Paris-Nice Sunday. Paris-Nice, great race. We love it. We all can't wait to watch it. Couple things about Paris-Nice. The time trial. They do this funky time trial format where it's the team time trial, but you take the times of the individuals, which I like a lot. So if you're so much faster than your team, you could just ride away from your team. Usually you stay with your team as long as possible. They're doing this new format at the 2026 Tour de France. So I'm quite interested to see that. The defending champion at Paris-Nice is Mathieu Jorgensen. He's got a little teammate with him this time, Jonas Vingegaard. I'm quite curious to see how that goes. I think one of those two will win it. Maybe Pavel Sivakov is the only other. Maybe Buitrago, but that TT is going to hurt him. Sivakov, I would keep an eye on for an outsider, but I'm quite curious to see how the Jorgensen-Vingegaard leadership goes there.
Yeah,
Jorgensen's fit right now.
Yeah, I'm curious as well, and I'm sure when they're asked about it, it will be it's always good to have options.
Yeah, I feel like both those guys are a little spicier.
They're both total killers. I don't think it's gonna.
They have a hard time kind of masking. In the interviews at times.
Yeah, completely. I'm very interested in seeing how that works out as well. And then, of course, we're all curious to see how Julian Alaphilippe performs.
I forgot he was in this race. He's on Tudor, right? Tudor now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's wearing the watch.
Wearing those watches.
As they say.
I just know Tudor is expensive watches. Do I know anything about him?
All right. I hear some action at your house. If you're listening, and I know you are, follow me at Hardway Pod. You can find links to everything that I'm doing. Watch for this, possibly some, some top secret early stuff for Substack subscribers on my side and yours in the near future with the podcast. We'll see what happens.
I've been home alone for the week with the kids. I might just be doing a parenting blog. The little fun thing my daughter's probably doing right now, loves to take the clothes off, the diaper off early, like let's say 4 or 5 a.m. Maybe take a poop with that diaper off. Then you go in, that's a fun little surprise for you. So that's what I've got. I have to look forward to right now. It was great being with you guys. Andrew, we will talk soon. Thanks so much.